All right, I'm here with the genius that is Chas Willix. He's a musician. I would say you're dabbling in the producing game as well.
Yeah, trying. I'm trying.
uh, Master at the ivories, tickling those ivories, amongst other things. But first, how are you doing, man? How are you
I'm doing
guys holding up?
good, man. Yeah, I've had a bunch of cake today because was it yesterday was my birthday or the day before? Yeah, yesterday was my birthday. So
Nice.
Liz has been giving me cookies and cake, and I feel kind of like gross and like not great physically, but good emotionally.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah, it was a good birthday, man.
A,
We just like made music and hung out, and yeah, it was fun.
a quarantine birthday.
Yes, yeah,
Nice. How old are you? 17?
yeah. I just turned 12. 25. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I actually feel like kind of old a little bit.
25, man. You're closer to
Oh,
30
yeah.
now.
I didn't feel old last year, but this year I feel old now.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Sweet. All right, man. Well, I want to start at the beginning. So, little Chaz,
Yes.
where were you born? How did you
True.
get into
Yeah.
music? What
So
were your
I was
parents?
born in Gainesville, Florida. Um, Neither of my parents really, well, my dad played music a little bit. He played trumpet in high school, but that was the extent of it. My parents met in Florida. My dad went to UF. Yeah, but I was born in Florida. We moved to North Carolina, grew up in Raleigh, and I was just like, happy little kid, and didn't really have any like hobbies or anything. Wasn't like amazing at any sports or anything. I was kind of trash at like most of the sports I tried. And when I turned like 8 years old, I was like, I want to play the piano. Like, no reason. I didn't see anyone playing it. I just like had it in my brain. And my parents were like, yeah, let's do it. So they found a piano teacher, and yeah, the rest is history, I guess.
So,
Uh,
would you say like Raleigh is home? Like, I mean, you live in Nashville
yeah,
obviously now, but um, you grew up in Raleigh, like not
it's
so much.
interesting. I definitely say that Raleigh's home, but at the same time, Nashville is becoming home too. So I've gotten to the point this year where I'm like, okay, like I'm comfortable here.
Yeah, yeah.
It took me like a while to get to that point, but I think it's weird because I'm like away from the family and stuff. But I have so many homies here now that it's like it feels like home. So
Yeah, yeah.
yes and no, I guess.
Okay.
Um,
So you started playing when you were 8.
yeah,
Your
they're playing.
choice.
Yes, yeah. I was just doing like little songs and like these little like kid piano books, and I was like stoked out of my mind. Like it was like the funnest thing ever for me. Because I was like, whoa, this is something I could be good at. Because I wasn't really good at stuff. It's like exciting. Um, and there was actually my brother was like always better than me at everything.
Mhm.
And there was a moment when I was learning, like for a while, that he was better than me still. And so I was like, okay, I have to go in on this. Like, I want to be like, I want to be good at this. So I practiced like so hard and quickly exceeded him. But yeah, like piano is still. I think piano is probably still my favorite instrument. Um, it's the easiest to just like play. Not have to like. I don't have to think at all. I can just like play it.
Yeah.
Um,
So what was the first kind of band or type of music that, because you're 8, you're playing like, I don't know,
yeah.
Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Well, like, yeah. So we were learning like all these like dumb songs, and then like she was having me learn all these classical songs because that's what she played. She's really really good,
Mhm.
and I still don't really love classical music. I appreciate it now more than I did back then, but I hated it back then. And I found some like this little jazz song that I loved. I liked it because I could kind of just mess with the rhythms and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked that about the song. Like I didn't have to like stick to the same thing every time. I almost kind of like took it and rearranged it. Like I rearranged some notes and rhythms and stuff. And at the time, my piano teacher was like, "No, like you have to read it like it's written." But I guess that was like the first moment that I realized like, oh, I could like, take melodies and stuff that are written down, play the same ones with different rhythms
Mm-hmm.
and with different notes and stuff, and like completely change the song. Um,
That
but
makes so
yeah,
much sense because I feel like that's what you're
yeah,
good at now. I mean, that's
for sure. Yeah, and I didn't realize it back then that that's what I was doing, I guess. But and then like so yeah, so I was playing all these classical songs and stuff. Then I started playing jazz, not super technical jazz, just like basic blues type charts and stuff.
mm-hmm.
And then I went from that to I was in a jazz band for a little while. And I guess the first band I was in was like middle school, like freshman year of high school.
Mm-hmm.
And we were so bad, really, really bad. Um,
What were
I
you
started.
called?
We were called the Sound of Waves. It's
Awesome.
not a cool name. Um, well, I started writing songs like officially when I was like 11. Um,
Okay.
they're horrible. I was in like the worship band at church, so I was like writing all these like bad worship songs. And I remember I showed one of my friends one of my songs, and he was like, "This is cool, but like, isn't this like a Hillsong song?" And it was like the same lyrics. I was like, "Oh yeah," just like I didn't know what I was doing back then. I was just like trying different things. And then the band I was in, we basically were the Fray, like, like the Fray meets like some like bad emo band from the early 2000s. So it was like super cringy, like sad, like angsty piano music. Really bad, really bad. But it was really fun to be in a band. I kind of quickly realized that it was hard for me to like be in a band because I uh, had all these ideas and like most of the guys were cool with like whatever. So I'd be like, hey, what if you played this or whatever? And by then I could play like drums. I know how to play drums and guitar and piano. So like I had all these ideas because I knew how to play the instruments. But most of the members were like, "You're kind of crazy," like especially the drummer. He was like, "Dude, like I just want to play like what I want to play."
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that was hard for me because I like had all these ideas in my head. Um, I kind of fast forwarded a little bit. So when I was in youth band, one of my best friends, his name was Seth. He is the reason why I sing, play guitar, and play drums. Um, so yeah, he heard me singing one day, just like overheard me singing to a song or something, and he was like, "Dude, you can sing really well. Like, do you know that?" And I was like, "No." And he was like, "Yeah, dude, like you really should like sing more." So
Mm-hmm.
he kind of brought that out of me. And then he had an electric drum set at his house. And it had like an aux input, and you could like plug in your iPod and stuff
Yeah.
and like play the songs. And the first song I ever learned on the drums was Clocks by Coldplay. So not super cool, but
So, yeah, what were you listening to at this time? Like what kind of music? What bands?
yeah, so like when I was really little, I was listening to like Third Eye Blind and Goo Goo Dolls and stuff. Um,
Goo Goo Dolls.
and And yeah, when I started playing the drums, I was still listening to the Goo Goo Dolls, but I was listening to like a lot of crappy like hard rock, like Breaking Benjamin and like
Gotcha.
Ace Grace. So I was trying to figure out how to do like double bass pedal stuff, and really cringy, really bad, and but also like some pop punk, some Blink 182. Blink 182 is like All the Small Things was the first song I learned on the guitar. What's My Age Again? All those songs. Basically that whole record. But yeah, Blink-182, like, or trying to play Blink songs on my guitar, looking up guitar tabs. I kind of just figured out guitar. I don't know. No one taught me. I was literally like, okay, these are the strings and those numbers are the frets. It's pretty self-explanatory. Like,
Looking up tabs.
yeah, I was just like, I'm just gonna sit here and play until I can play this song.
Yeah.
Because that's how I played piano. Like my teacher was so strict. Like she was intense. So it gave me this like crazy discipline for like, I guess, learning music. And so when it came to learning instruments, I was like so dedicated.
Yeah.
But drums was definitely, like, growing up, I think drums were my favorite instrument that I like. I don't know. It was always fun to like play along to songs and like just do whatever the crap I wanted. And it was cool that my parents like let me play my drums like in my house. They're like so loud. Looking back on that, I was like, dang. I was thinking about that today. That's crazy, man. Drums are so loud. I had this neighbor next door, and my house was like, I lived in a suburb. They actually still live in that house, but my room was across the, like, literally the houses were like this, right? And my window is like right up against another window. And my drum set, when I first got my drum set was set up in my room. So like I was playing, like I said, I was playing like Breaking Benjamin, only really loud music. And I played the drums so hard. Like I'd be breaking heads and like breaking cymbals, like a lot. And about a year into me playing the drums, my dad was talking to our neighbor that was next to us, and she mentioned something about working from home and being like, yeah, it's kind of a bummer I have to work from home today. But my dad was like, why? And she was like, well, like, I think your son plays the drums. And she's like, it's really loud. And my office is directly across from from that room or whatever.
That's amazing.
So like for like almost a year, I was playing like through this grade, like drums and Blink-182, like as hard as I can.
That's amazing.
Into her office, yeah.
My cousin lives in Huntington Beach, and so the houses are close together like that. And she plays the oboe. And she practices like hours a day. And one time she heard the neighbors, their window was open, and she just heard him say, "Oh no, she's practicing again."
Man, that's harsh. That's like, that would suck.
Okay, so you're in high school. Is that when you got into like the synth stuff, or when did that kind of happen?
Yeah, so that's kind of funny. So like my parents bought me a synthesizer when I was like, I think I was like 13 or 14.
Okay.
And I honestly was like, I was excited, but I also was like, what do I do with this? You know what I mean? Like, because I didn't really know. Like, I grew up on like a lot of like punk rock and like pop punk and like rock, generally rock. So like the synth stuff, I mean, the first song I ever heard that had synthesizer in it legitimately was probably like Sleepyhead, maybe. Yeah, it was probably Sleepyhead. And that kind of blew my mind because like I had never heard music like that. I was like, this is like alien music. Like, this is crazy. And I remember my brother had this like really nice Audi with like crazy bass booster in it or whatever. He had like a sub in the back, and he played that song, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. What am I doing? I'm listening to trash music. So I started listening to that stuff like in high school. That's like when I was getting into it a little bit more. So I had a synthesizer for like long, like I had it longer than that. Like I got it earlier. So I didn't really play it that much. I was more into guitar and drums. And then I think Passion Pit and like MGMT, like hearing like Electric Feel and Kids and Time to Pretend, like songs like that. I was like, oh crap, like I need to get into this stuff. So that's what got me into it, like different bands. And then later on I found Foster the People and, you know, a bunch of other bands and stuff. But I didn't really start making that type of music until I was a senior in high school. I had this friend, this guy actually, I didn't know him at all. There was this, my youth pastor, his sister is this folk artist, which like I obviously don't play folk music at all, but she was like really kind and very good at connecting people and just like a good friend. And she was like, hey, I'm playing this show. It was at a coffee shop I went to all the time. And she was like, I'm playing this show with this guy, his name's Bryce, and he makes this really cool music. And I think you guys would be like best friends. Like you should meet. So I ended up meeting him and we hit it off so hard, like immediately. Like we liked the same music. We were like bonding over like Foster and like Youth Lagoon, like really random bands that we both really love. And he was like, dude, I know it's kind of short notice, but what if we did a cover? And so we did Houdini off of Torches. And I tried to play it like the most like the song that it is or whatever. And I used like my synth and my keyboard, and I was running my keyboard and my synth through like a bunch of pedals and stuff. And that was the first time I ever done music like that. Before then, I was really just doing like the Frey type stuff, you know, like sad boy piano music. And like Bryce, he did this weird like electronic music. So it was like the perfect combo of like, at least to get me into that style.
Yeah.
And he was more into like, I guess, trap drums over like, I don't even know how to describe it. Kind of like jazzy chords with like trap drums, whatever that is. So after we did that show, after he did the show and I literally played one song with him, I was like, dude, you should come over and we should just like jam. Because I did that all the time with my friends. He came over and we wrote like 4 songs, like in like 3 hours. It was crazy. We basically wrote a whole EP together. And we didn't end up ever recording all the music, but we recorded like 2 of the songs and we played a show together. And he was going to college. He was a year older than me. I was a senior in high school, so like I was like definitely hooked on that style of music, like doing indie pop type stuff. And around that time, my parents bought me a MacBook, so I was messing with GarageBand and like figuring out how to do that stuff, kind of using MIDI and stuff. And yeah, so he went to college, and then I went to college, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna be a worship leader, because that's what I did like throughout high school and like middle school. That's just like all I knew.
And you went to college for music, right?
I went to college for music. It was to be like a worship pastor, though. That was like the specific thing I wanted to do. And I was majoring in church music because it was like the closest thing I could think of. And it also like looked the hardest. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll just like be a better musician because all these classes look so hard. And I quickly realized, nothing against like worship and stuff, but I quickly realized that like I didn't want to do that because I was still writing my own music and stuff.
Yeah.
And they had this one class called Contemporary Band, and we played like we wrote songs for that semester, and then we played this like big show at the end of the semester with like full production and everything. And I played a bunch of songs that I wrote with like my garage band or whatever with like this band that I had formed. And it was like the dopest thing ever. Cause like I had never played with a full band and played that style of music.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this is what I want to do. Like,
And this is in Lakeland.
for sure. This is in Lakeland, yeah, Lakeland, Florida, southeastern. Yeah. So from then on I was like super set on that. And then I met this kid, his name was Richie, and we didn't like the same music at all. Like he was like super into like Sigaros and like
Nice.
I don't know, just like super ambient. Like we liked like two of the same bands. Like, and I was super into like indie pop, Last Dinosaurs, like I don't even know, just like a bunch of stuff. So we became really good friends over playing music together, not necessarily liking the same music.
Mm-hmm.
And then around that time, the 1975 came out. And so I was super about the synthesizer. And I heard the 1975, and I was like, dang, I've been neglecting my guitar a lot, and I need to like pick it back up. And hearing their first record like completely changed the way I like wrote music, and especially guitar. um I started realizing like, oh, you can use the guitar to like the guitar can be like the forefront of a song. You know what I mean? Like it can be the lead line, the rhythm, everything. um and like you really don't need anything else. And so I started this band with my friend Richie called Manners, like based off Passion Pit. And we played like the complete opposite of Passion Pit. It was like only guitar. I didn't play keys at all. I just played my guitar and sang, and he played guitar, and then we had bass and drums. It was like very bare bones. And we like would switch off lead lines, and like it was really cool because we both like we didn't like the same music at all, and we always like argued over that stuff. But then we would like sit down and write, and it was like the best music I'd ever written because we were just so different, and but we like somehow meshed together in a really cool way.
That's cool.
And yeah, so we played in a band together for like 2 years, I think, a year and some change. And I just started going through kind of a rough patch. I was single for a while. I'd broken up with this girlfriend I was with, and I was going through a rough patch, and I broke my wrist actually at the skate park for the second time, third time, I don't even know. I was always breaking bones growing up. So I broke my wrist and tore cartilage. So it was kind of like a forced, like, you can't play guitar because I had a cast on, you know what I mean? And right around that time, I was started talking to this other girl. Um, her name was Liz, and you know Liz. And I had no idea she could sing, but I would always go to the practice rooms to play the piano, and I would be like fighting constantly, like trying to practice like Bach or Beethoven or whatever, and like going between like that and like writing for like 3 hours, because that's just like how my brain works. I like always want to make stuff. And so anyways, Liz and I were talking, and I was like, hey, like, why don't you come to the practice room with me? And trying to be smooth. So she came to the practice room with me, and I was like, hey, do you want to write a song like right now? And she was like, okay. And I had no idea if she could sing, but I was like, I have a feeling like she can sing. And so I was like just making up stuff, and I was like, sit closer to me, like I can't hear you. So she sat closer to me, and I remember hearing her for the first time and being like, oh, dang, like this girl can sing really well.
Mm-hmm.
And her voice is like super different and really cool. So this is right when I broke my wrist, or maybe right before I broke my wrist. And Then I broke my wrist. And manners just kind of like fizzled out. Like I felt like God was calling me somewhere else. And yeah, I don't know. It was just like I felt like I needed to do my own thing.
Yeah.
And because like I said, when I was in these bands with different people, I'd have these really strong opinions about, instruments, and people would be like, "You're not playing the drums. Like, why are you telling me what to play?"
Yeah.
Like you're the one singing or whatever. So people just didn't get it, I guess. And so I was like, you know what? I could just do my own thing, and then like not really worry about, I don't know, just like record everything, record all the instruments, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and oh yeah, I forgot. When I was like a sophomore, I did an EP. It was all in Ableton, and it was like really trash. But that was my first like attempt at like doing something like and putting it out. So that's cool that I guess it's cool that I like did that, even though it's like really, really, really bad sounding. I just like went for it and like made a whole EP. But yeah, so fast forward, I guess, back to where we were. I'm a sophomore in college, junior in college, like end of sophomore year. And so Liz and I are dating by now, and I'm like, hey, what do you think about like being in a band with me?
Mm-hmm.
Like I was thinking about, she knew that this was happening too. Like she knew that I was going to be like a solo artist and stuff. I was just going to go under my name, like Chas Willix or whatever. And my roommate Trevor was like, dude, you should not do that. You should go by Willix, because it sounds like not a name, like it just sounds like a crazy thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, that actually is an interesting idea. And she liked the idea, and she was like down. She was like, yeah, I will play music with you. And that's kind of how that started. And I think also like bands like St. Lucia and like uh, bands that have like a girl and a guy, you know what I mean? Like the girl guy octave thing.
Yeah.
That was kind of where my mind went. I was listening to bands like Thumpers, St. Lucia. There's another band, I can't think of their name. Kid Astray. I was listening to them a lot. A lot of like really synth driven like indie pop with girl and a guy. So I was like into this like jungle pop thing, and I was like, we're gonna make music that sounds like it's like from the jungle, but like a lot of synth and like as weird as possible. So I took all of my guitar gear that I had gotten. I had two guitars. I had a Les Paul and a Gretsch. And one day I realized like I don't need this Les Paul anymore. I don't like play rock music. So I sold my Les Paul and I bought a bunch of pedals. So I'm like, okay, how can I make my keyboard? It just sounds like a piano. How can I make it sound super weird? It's the same keyboard I've had. I still have it. It's the same keyboard I've had since I was like 7 or 8. So I take all my guitar pedals, my chorus, my delay, and I run my keyboard through it. And that was one of the ways that we, I guess, shaped our sound. Like
That was
chorus.
the beginning of the Willix sound.
Yeah, dude. Like chorusy, reverby, delayed out piano.
Yeah.
And I remember when I wrote Spin. So I went on a missions trip in 2015, and I came back that summer. And instead of going to Raleigh, I made my ticket to go to Lakeland. So I wanted to live in Florida for that summer for some reason. I just felt like I needed to be there. So I lived with this like surfer that I didn't know. I met him like maybe like 2 years prior. We barely knew each other. We became like best friends. And so he had another roommate who I knew from school. He had this like ukulele. He couldn't really play music that well, but he knew chords, like basic chords.
Yeah.
So I had this guitar idea you know how I love syncopation. So I had this idea, instead of the guitar going da 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 right on the 2 and the 4, instead of doing that, I wanted it to go da da da.
Yeah.
It was like the on the, I don't even know, like the and, I guess, or the, that might even be like a dotted 16th. No, I don't even know. It's like a weird syncopation that I thought would sound cool. So I was like, okay, play it like this. And I have a voice memo too. It's so funny. I'm like, okay, play it like this. He's like that? And I was like, yeah. So he's doing it on beat, like in the right, like, you know, and beat or whatever. And as soon as I start singing and playing the chords, he goes to the 2 and the 4.
Yeah.
And I didn't stop, because I was like, that's how I write music. I have to, like, I don't know. It's all off the cuff and stuff a lot of times. And especially back then, I would just write with the guitar, like with Manor stuff. And so he's playing on the 2-4, but he wasn't supposed to be. But it was like the happiest accident ever, because I listened back and I was like, oh, this is fire. Like, I didn't even think about doing that. I don't even think he knows that either. But yeah, dude, it's crazy. It's so cool.
And that would become the first song you guys put out, right?
Yeah, it was the first song we put out. It was the first song I ever wrote for Willix.
For Willix, that's awesome.
So it wasn't the first song we wrote together.
Yeah, yeah.
But we wrote a bunch of songs together before that. But yeah, so we did that, and I remember doing like spin in the studio, and I'd never been in a professional studio, and I was like, oh crap, like this is intense. Like, I don't think my music's good enough for this. And I remember hearing it back on the monitors, recording with Evan, just like not even mixed, you know, just like raw drums.
Yeah.
And it was the guy that played with me in the contemporary band, Dion. That's how we met. And I loved the way he played, and he liked Walk the Moon. That's how we like bonded. And so
drummer too.
Dude, he's so sick. He's got such a good feel too. He plays like he plays like an indie pop / gospel drummer. Like, he has like the tastiest fills.
Yeah.
And on Spin, I was literally like, okay, dude, there are no drums in this demo that I've made. So, like, I trust you.
Yeah.
Like, it was like the like that whole thing. I told him to do like beat for beat, and there were a few things like that. But like the thing he did on the chorus, like that whole chorus, I have nothing to do with. That's like all Dion.
Yeah.
And that was also the moment I realized, like, sometimes it's okay to like trust people and like not have to like feel like I have to do everything. Like, if there's someone that's better at the drums than me, you know, if they're better at the drums than me and their mind is like drums, then like it's good for me to just kind of be like, do what you want with it.
Yeah.
Some songs I'm just like, okay, I want it to be specifically this, because I think of that. But other times I'm like, I'll ask people and, you know, friends and stuff. I ask you and like Luke and the guys, what does the song need? But yes, I heard it back on the monitors and I was like, whoa, like this is like a professional song. Like, this actually sounds good. Like,
Yeah.
nothing I had done before sounded good. So.
And you and Liz weren't married yet at that point, right?
No, we're still dating. Going steady. Yeah, dude. And then like 2017, well, actually, I think it was like the end of 2016, we were like, let's do a Kickstarter. And so we did a Kickstarter. It was my buddy Alex's idea. You know Alex. He was like a big reason why Willix is like still alive, or even is alive at all. Like, the fact that we do music is because of him. Like, literally every video, picture, anything we put out on social media was Alex.
Yeah.
He even did like some graphics for us. He didn't know how to do graphics, and he was like, oh, I figured this out. So
Okay.
We were like, let's do it. Let's do a show. It's gonna be sick. We go to the venue and like, we want to do a show, and they're like, okay, cool. We're like, what date do you want? We're like, really? That's it? and Alex was like, dude, I'll make a graphic. And he was like, I figured out how to make graphics. Check it out. Like, he was always doing stuff like that for us. But yeah, so Alex was like, let's do a Kickstarter. This is still, I guess, still the summer before like the semester started. And so we get everything together, do a Kickstarter. We have no idea what we're doing. Like, I don't know anyone that's done a Kickstarter. I don't know.
Yeah.
So we did Spin with Evan, and I was like, hey, Evan, like, I want to do an EP with you. How much money do I need? And he was like, I'll do it for $3,000. And I don't even think it was that much, honestly. I think it was cheaper than that. But I think I asked him how much should we save, and he was like 3,000. Like,
Yeah.
is it good? So I was like, okay. So we end up like raising all the money, and a bunch of our friends donated, and a bunch of my dad's like colleagues donated, super random. He was like, I'll just like email some colleagues, and a bunch of his like people he works with were like, yeah, like, we support him. So they gave like a lot, you know, because they're like grown-ups and stuff, which was really super cool. So we raised all the money and a little bit more, and we recorded our EP. And honestly, part of me wishes I could go back, but a part of me is like pretty okay with the way things are now. But I guess I just like didn't know what I was doing, and I like didn't. I had there was a lot of potential to like be really big, and I think there still is for sure. But back then, at least in, I guess, the entire school knew like who I was, and I didn't realize that till we started playing shows.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of just did my thing and like had my friends and stuff,
I
but
mean,
like everyone knew who I
go
was.
back and play shows there now. They're still.
Yeah, yeah, man. I mean, even when we play shows now, like people, I feel like the last show we played, it was like, okay, a lot of my friends in college are gone, but people are still coming,
Yeah.
and I
There's
don't even play them anymore. So yeah, it's weird, man. But even back then, like, it wasn't really my friends though. Like, I had friends there, but there were so many people there that I just like didn't know,
Yeah.
and we were like, where do these people come from? But I would always be like, oh, it's going to be packed. We're going to sell it out. It's going to be hundreds of people. I would always be like that, like really confident for some reason. And it was always like that, though. Like, we had so many people. And the first Willix show we ever played, I remember we played a farewell, like, show, I guess, like a final show for Manners. There was probably like 150 people there. Like, realistically, we played the Willix show, and it was probably double the amount. It was crazy. And it was cool to see people like still wanting to support what I was doing, even though it wasn't what they wanted, I guess. Like, when Manners stopped, everyone was like, what are you doing? Like, this is a bad idea.
Yeah.
Go back to other stuff.
So you guys only played that. So by this time, you guys are already married, right?
By this time, I think we're engaged.
Okay.
Yeah. Pretty sure we're engaged or really close to being engaged. Yeah. And then we did a little show in New York. It wasn't like a show. It was just like a private show. One of my best friends donated like, it was like a few $100, and we had different like levels to the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, if you pay this much, we'll do this for you, whatever. So it was like a few $100. We would do a private show, play any songs you want. So we played for all he dances in New York, so we played for all these like dancers. That was really cool. They were dancing a lot. And like,
dancing a lot.
yeah. Yeah, so we had the EP out. we put it out graduation day. Um, yeah, and then I graduate college, I guess, and then we get married and immediately moved to Nashville. And I didn't have a job when we moved here, so that was cool, kind of stressful. But I had always written music on the piano or the guitar. I never really put that much effort into like the production side of things. So I was like, what if I actually like tried to do this? Like started looking up YouTube videos and like figuring out how to mix and stuff like that. And I just started doing these like really crappy demos again, and the demos just got better and better. And I didn't realize it, like when you're making stuff, a lot of times it's like, oh, this is trash. But then you listen to something. I'd listen to something I had made like 2 months ago, and I was like, oh, this is way better, or at least like a little better. So,
So how long? When did we meet? You guys have been there for like a year, right? I mean, I played the first Willix show in Nashville.
Yeah, you did. You did.
Yeah.
You played the first. Yeah, and Dion played with us.
Yeah.
So we moved to Nashville in 2017, right? 2017, babe. 2017, late July. The first Willix show, I feel like it wasn't until like October or something, because it was cold.
Yeah. I honestly don't. I mean, I remember the show, but I don't remember when it was.
Well, we met because Daniel Chaney. So, and I met Daniel Chaney because I knew this other guy that I met from the Belonging, Jack Campbell. Do you know who that is? Jack Campbell.
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He moved back to Australia, right?
Yeah, he moved back.
Yeah.
We got coffee with him like a month or two ago. He visited, but anyways, I met him at the Belonging, and we got coffee once, and Daniel was there, and that's how I met him. And I saw his Instagram, and I was like, dude, your stuff is sick. And it was like his photography was the photography that I was really into when Manners kind of was. We were doing house shows, and like Jordan Schmidt was playing with us on guitar, and his style of photography was very much like Daniel Chaney. When I met him, it's not as much now. It's a little more like, I don't really know. It's kind of like the stuff you do. It's like very like beachy.
Yeah.
But back then though, he did a lot of like flash photography and stuff.
Yeah.
Animating a lot, and I loved that stuff. And so I would always get Alex to do flash, and he was like, "Dude, I don't know how to use a flash." But anyways,
but you basically just needed a bass player, right? And then
what'd you say?
You just needed a bass player, and then Chaney just gave you my number.
Yeah, that's how it happened. Yeah, because we did the shoot for like through making all those demos and stuff. I made "Loving" one day, and I was like, "Whoa, this is like the best song I've ever made." And we were like, "We have to record this," and so we ended up kind of doing a weird thing. We did a hybrid thing where like I recorded Evan on the guitar, Evan Nichols on the guitar, and Tanner on the bass, and I had my buddy Jesse Keller mix it, and Luke recorded drums.
Yeah.
And we kind of compiled all this mess together. And it actually turned out pretty good, considering like I feel like most of us didn't really know what we were doing, except for maybe Luke and Jesse. I guess just me.
Because we played that show, and then Dion came up and played, and then after I brought in Luke's. I don't really remember how that happened, but maybe you just asked me if I knew someone that played drums.
Yeah, but I remember you were like, he's more of a rock drummer. I don't know, like he plays really hard. And I remember being like, okay, that's fine. And you were like, no, dude, like he plays really hard. And I was like, okay, whatever. And we played our first show together with Luke, and I was like, oh my gosh. He was not lying. This guy plays freaking hard. Uh, but Luke always gets me so hyped because he like gets really into it and like yells and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was never used to that. Like I was used to drummers that just like Dion. He takes it easy,
Yeah.
super laid back.
Smooth. Luke is not smooth.
Smooth, really technical, but like he's not freaking out at all. Yeah, so it's kind of hazy, man. It's kind of hard to
But I feel
feel
like that was when you and Liz were kind of, I mean, because I've played with you guys pretty much the whole time now.
Yeah,
And Luke is pretty close to that same time. Like that was
yeah,
kind of, you guys started
really.
informing everyone. Evan too. We've
Yeah.
all.
Well, we kind of went through, and you were there, but we kind of went through like weird lineup changes. Like there was a guy that was gonna play with us, but he was like he couldn't like play the songs because they were too technical, and it was really awkward. But I was like, you can't play with us, sorry. And Luke was like able to play the song, so I was like, okay, yeah. And he's Luke. He's a great hang. I love playing with Luke and like being around him and stuff. So, but yeah, so yeah, Daniel, we did the shoot for Loving, and I think like maybe during that shoot, no, it was at Plaza Mariachi. We were getting tacos or something, super random. And I was like, hey, I really need a bass player. And he was like, oh, there's this guy I know. His name's Nolan. And that's how I met you.
Cool.
I remember texting you and being like, yeah, we're doing this show. And
it was like a week, it was like a couple of days away. I feel like.
Yeah, it was so soon. And you were like, okay, well, like, here are my rates. And like we didn't know each other. And I was like, I don't remember what I said, but I was like, we don't really have money to pay you. Like, like, do you still want to do the show? And you were like, oh, dude, I'm listening to your music. This is super tight. I really like Spin. And you were like, you know what? Yeah, I'll do it for free or whatever. And I was like, dang, this guy's super cool. It's cool he like would just play with us. And yeah, we roped you in.
Yeah, now you're the only person that, because at the time I was playing with like a bunch of people just as a hired guy. But
Really?
then,
I didn't know
yeah. But then now, I mean, for the past like, besides little things here and there, I pretty much just play
that.
with you guys.
So awesome. Yeah, dude. One of these days we'll go on a huge tour. Be awesome.
So from there, you and Liz kind of got us all together, or you had the crew,
Yeah.
and then for the past kind of 2 years, just been playing shows, and you've put out singles, pretty much, right?
Yeah. And the last one we did, In Your Arms, we did kind of the same way that we did Loving, except instead of working with like a bunch of people, it's just with Evan.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just doing everything in-house that we can do, and then he's doing like drums, and he did drums and bass for In Your Arms. But like for the next single we did vocals, bass, and all the instruments except for the drums, and he's doing drums. So I'm trying to do more and more and more each time.
Yeah.
The goal is to just like honestly just to be able to do it on my own.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: favorite Willix show that we've played?
Favorite Willix show we've played? Man, that's so hard. I think, dude, that's tough. I feel like the one that pops up in my head is Tempo. I really loved that show.
Yeah.
That was super tight because we like the art thing.
Yeah.
Like the how-to book, like mixed with like the indie pop and stuff. And then you did like the really dope video. And it was just very well executed show. Like everything about it was good. They were really cool though, and like they're really good people, and I loved like working with them and stuff.
Yeah, that one was fun. That one was a good one.
They're like your friends, right? The guys at Tempo.
Yeah.
Those guys.
I think they had kind of just we were one of the first shows I think we played there. I think that was kind of early on. I think when they had first opened.
Yeah, it was really fun. That show, and then I can't pick one favorite. first show we played with you in Lakeland. That was epic. That was a really good show. I felt like that was the first show that I like kind of went crazy a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was holding back, and then that show I was like, no, like I'm going for it. That was really fun.
So the first time we played in Lakeland, and then Tempo.
Yeah. I think like every show I've tried to kind of like open up a little more, and you have always been a big inspiration for me on that, because like I would always focus so much on the music and sounding good and doing everything right.
And I did the opposite. I don't think about the music.
Yeah. That's not really what it's about though. Like, yeah, it's about sounding good, obviously, and like being professional, but like music's supposed to be fun, you know? So, and that's what I always told people, at least like in contemporary bands and stuff. I'd be like, just have fun, but put on a good show. And that's kind of what Liz and I have tried to do, especially me, like, just like not take myself so seriously. So, and you're still helping me with that stuff. So,
dude, we played some fun shows though, for sure. I mean,
yeah,
all of them have been cool in their own like unique way.
Yeah.
Even that dive bar we played at in Chattanooga.
Yeah. Dude, I think that was my least favorite show. If I had to pick one, that would be my least favorite, and for multiple reasons. I think the biggest one for me was the fact that I couldn't sing. Like my voice was just gone.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. The first song we were playing was Quicksand, and it starts with like that. And see you in the red light. It's like a kind of higher note. It's like a B flat or whatever. And I liked that it was in the beginning because it like warm up my voice and stuff. But I didn't have a voice, so like I was just like forcing it out. And I remember I had this epic, just really bad voice crack, like right to start off the show, and I was like, okay, this could be how it is.
That's awesome.
And I was like looking over at Liz, like, sing louder, please. And she was like losing her voice.
I remember the music sounded really good. Like the band sounded good that show though, for some reason.
Yeah.
Like I remember.
Yeah. I was talking about it with Liz like a few weeks ago. I think we should have like 2 different sets planned, like, and depending on where we are. So if we end up in like a dive bar, I just break out a guitar.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? And like don't play any synths. Maybe have like another like session enabled synth that's like really stripped, like only bare minimum synth. And then we'll play the tracks, but like 1 track, 2 tracks. And I'll play guitar. I think that would be smarter rather than being like, let's try to do a full production show with this like crappy PA and like hope for the best.
Yeah.
Not gonna sound good. But yeah, I think about that show and I'm like, man, if I just had like a Strat or something, or even just like my Gretsch through my tube amp, it just would have sounded so much better.
Yeah.
And then no one liked us either. They were all like just standing there, like staring at us. But also, I think, yeah, playing with you in general, yeah, like you definitely never cared about like what people thought. You're just like having fun, So whereas like when I started playing shows, it was like very dependent on like if people were smiling and like, and now I don't even think about that hardly at all. I mean, if everyone is just staring, then it's weird a little bit, but but at the same time, it's like, it's okay, just play music.
For sure.
It's also kind of fun to like try and get people into your music and like be enthusiastic about it.
Yeah. So I've been doing these, one of my favorite Chas moments and memories. So one of them is that first Lakeland show when for some reason, well, first of all, the whole day you just watched SpongeBob and Jeff Goldblum videos.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
The best part was when we decided to warm up. We listened to the Nutcracker. We're all just
So,
around listening to the Nutcracker and get pumped.
bro, that was so fun. Jordan was such a goob. It was so funny to watch you guys interact. You guys bonded like so hard.
He's gonna do one of these.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, because I remember thinking about, I wonder what like Jordan will think of Nolan. Because like Jordan is very like, he's like me about music with people. He's like, has a very strong opinion.
Yeah.
Like he either likes it or doesn't. So it's like, I hope he likes Nolan. Like, Nolan's a cool guy, but like, I hope he likes him. And you guys were like buds.
Yeah. We just hung out the whole time because we were in like separate cars. So that was one memory. And then the other memory, or the other Chaz moment, is when it's actually at the second Lakeland show, when the second time we played in Lakeland, and the computers weren't working or something. I don't remember what, but everything was going terribly wrong.
I remember that.
And one of the lighting guys like setting up, and we're all trying to get ready. And then that guy was like setting up that disco ball like right above you.
Right above my head.
And he dropped something. It wasn't the disco ball, but something like and you just like, you were just so like already upset that you didn't even like respond. You just kept playing. Even though he almost like took your head off with whatever he was doing.
Dude, yeah. So like that was crazy though, because like I used to freak out so much over stuff. And the second Lakeland show was when I cared so much less. Like there was all this stressful stuff happening around me, and I was just like, it's fine. It'll be fine.
That was awesome.
The computer thing did freak me out. But everything else, I was just like, I think leading up to that, I was fine. And then the computer thing, and I was like, oh no. And I turned to Bryce, he was like mad professional with shows and stuff and like playing. He's like,
they figured it out.
And I was like, dude, what do we do? And he's like, I don't know. And I was like, what do you mean you don't know? Like, if you don't know, we're screwed.
While you guys were fixing that, I walked over to the Lakeland Square thing, and there was like an Edward Scissorhands like dance presentation going on. It was really bizarre. And I was just like, okay, this is gonna be a good show.
Well, did you know? So the plaza that's right next door to right next door to like Concord and stuff. That plaza that's like shut down, the big store, is where they shot Edward Scissorhands.
It's where they filmed it, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's probably why. Maybe. That's so weird though.
It was awesome.
What time was it?
What?
What time was it that they were doing that?
It was right before. It was when you guys were trying to fix the tracks before the doors opened, and I went for a walk, and there was like this like outdoor festival happening, and they were doing like Edward Scissorhands interpretive dancing. And I was like, this is gonna be a good show.
It was a fun show. I remember I had that. It was supposed to be a costume party, and I had that jack-o'-lantern with all the candy, and we walked out, and I threw all the candy, and it went dark. Probably pelted everyone in the face. And I remember we started with Loving, and the lights turned on, and I was singing, looking out to see if anyone was like injured, and like no one reacted at all, or maybe like their reaction was gone by then. It was weird.
That's amazing. Yeah, some good ones, man, for sure.
I didn't know that second story though, dude. That's so funny. That's amazing. Yeah, we played a lot of shows together, man. It's been good.
And they've all been very unique, which is fun.
Very different from one another. I really liked the Mercy show a lot too, even though the tracks screwed up.
Oh yeah, he said that guy. Yo, play it live.
Yeah, Cody. Yeah, we had a lot of friends at that show. Like I'd say, Tempo was the most, and then like Mercy was like a close second. We had so many friends at that show.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. Yeah, that was a fun show. Also, people were like into us, which was sick. I was like, finally, people are dancing. So that's all I really want to do. I just want to make people dance, you know?
Yeah. So making people dance. What's next? What are you guys doing now? We're working on what's going to come out soon.
Yeah. So we are working on an album, and we've been working on an album for a minute, but we're trying to put out a record in 2 years. That's kind of our goal. Nice. Yeah, the whole like coronavirus deal kind of threw a wrench in our plans a little bit.
For sure.
So we're trying to improvise with that stuff, but we're kind of going to do singles and then EPs, and then we're going to compile all the EPs. So we'll have like 3 different EPs. By the time the third one comes out, we'll just put them all in one. It'll be like a big album. And so right now, we have all this stuff recorded. I think everything's recorded. It just needs to be mixed for the next single. So that should be out like soonish. But yeah, I'm constantly writing stuff because I'm just like, you know what? I could write a better song. Yeah. You know, like, I don't know. Like the song I sent you is like the song I'm excited about right now. So yeah. I wrote that yesterday. So
that's one thing about you can write more than most people. That's for sure.
I don't know, man. It's just like a muscle. You just gotta do it a lot, and then it kind of becomes natural, I guess. But yeah, I definitely love making stuff, like making music and stuff. It's super fun. That's the best. It's my favorite part. Just like writing.
Keep on making stuff, man.
Thanks, dude. And playing shows with you. Super dope.
It's all right.
Sometimes it sucks, but you know.